Herb Chester and Sam Bruno on this edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum. And let's address the elephant in the room, Mr. Bruno.
Yes.
I started the day on last Saturday, by saying Mother Nature has given us a great day for a football game. And that was true. We were under the gun with the weather over the weekend. We thought we were going to get anything, snow, rain, sleet. We didn't know it was going to be a mailman special, but all of a sudden, skies cleared around noontime, blue skies, puffy clouds, sunshine, 70-degree temperatures, and we had a beautiful day for football. Now, let's start off with the UNH Wildcats. They had senior day in Durham, and it was a beautiful day for that. And it turned out to be a beautiful game for them, as well as the rest of the Wildcats.
It did. Since you and I were at the Exeter game,
right,
we missed a classic. Although I was going a little bit wild in my car on the way home, because I was able to listen to Bob Lipman and Justin McIsaac make a call on that game with that last-minute touchdown by the Wildcats to come out with a gigantic win.
And that now sets the table for this game coming up. They're going to be traveling to Maine, to Orono, to play for the musket, the traditional game that they play every season against the UMaine Black Bears. And this year it means even more, because they will more than likely be in the playoffs, in the CAA playoffs, but this could mean home cooking versus being on the road. And right now, as it stands, there's two teams tied with them, William and Mary and Richmond. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out.
Tiebreakers involved in this situation to get the automatic Colonial Athletic Association bid. But win or lose, the Wildcats still have a good shot of making the group to go into the playoffs. And they'll know right after they beat whenever they play Maine, whether or not they'll know that. But that Rhode Island win, that comeback, and then when I watched the tape of the pass from Brosmer to Lincoln's, DJ Lincoln's, to give the Wildcats the last-minute win, it was a great catch and a great throw. You know, Brosmer's really come on this year. He's really done a nice job.
Amen. Yeah, I agree with you. I was saying that to Roger Brown, that we had to do without him for a year, and they did the best they could, and he's proven that, hey, he's there, and he's a gamer for sure.
Max Brosner is a key here. They kept the ball away from Dylan Lauby. Rhode Island did a good job in doing that, but the Brosner touchdown pass at the end, I mean, Rhode Island came right down the field in the last couple of minutes and went ahead after the Wildcats had taken a lead, but then the Wildcats came right back and did it. So, that was a real Rick Santos win. That was a real win for the Santos coaching staff, and Brosmer just did a great job down the stretch there. So now we know they can win the close ones.
Yeah, and another factor was this young gentleman, DJ Lincoln's. Nobody really had him on the radar at the beginning of the season, and he's come through for him big time. He's been that wide-out target that Brosmer needs down deep, and he's proven his worth for sure.
Well, we would always be talking about Brian Espinette as being the key receiver, but when you add in Kyle Lepkowski and Heron Mariso and now Lincoln's, the Wildcats offense, if Brosmer can stay out of trouble and get some protection from his offensive line, that can be a good thing going down the road.
Well, let's get back to schoolboy football, and let's first off start with I said we talked about the elephant in the room. We'll get to the elephant in a second. We want to talk about the divisions that have, and the championships that have been decided in the NHIAA Division 4. It was Somersworth with a 14-6 win over Newport. In D3, Campbell Cougars came up a winner over the Trinity Pioneers, 16-14 in that one. And this coming weekend in Division 2, it'll be the Pelham Pythons, and they moved up from 3-2,
right,
and they'll be hosting Sauhegan, and that is going to be at 1:00 at Bedford High School again for the D2 championship. So it'll be interesting. They've been dominant in D3. We'll see how that happens. And then we got a team that moved from D2 to D1, and that's where we'll bring in the elephant. That was the Timberlane Owls. They've been dominant in Division II, move up to Division I, and guess what? They're knocking on the door of a championship in D1. And I say that because they knocked out one of the big contenders, the Exeter Bluehawks, in what I consider one of the best football games I've seen, a heavyweight matchup between two real dominant teams. And unfortunately, we just came up 1 point short.
The first game in Timberlane during the regular season was a classic, with Timberlane winning that one by 4 points, 27-23. The Bluehawks knocking on the door inside the 15-yard line and just didn't have enough time to get that go-ahead touchdown. And then that was a disappointing loss for the Bluehawks. Timberlane and Exeter, I think right from the beginning, my biggest surprise of the game, with the final being 29-28 Timberlane, is that there were that many points scored. Mm-hmm. I was surprised that the teams would go up and down on each other. Usually in a big game like that, a playoff game, the defense is usually what you turn to first, and you turn up the heat on both defenses, and they really do the job. But the offense by the Bluehawks, I was right in one thing that I had said on an earlier show, that I thought with the Bluehawks having the week off, they were going to come out and race against Timberlane, that they would be ready to go. And they did. And they jumped out to a big lead.
They did.
I think most of us at Billball Stadium and in the crowd on Saturday, when you had that 2 touchdown lead, you were feeling pretty good, feeling very, very good. Timberlane behind quarterback Dominic Capetta and a couple of speedsters did the Bluehawks in. And again, I think Kevin Fitzgerald, the coach of the Timberlane Owls, totally made the right move on going for 2 points to win that ball game. Win it right there. Yeah. Let's see what we're going to do. And they, like he said, we had a play that we liked.
And I watched the game over a couple of times since, and I looked at both the FNL, NH, and Bluehawk media versions of it. And it was a goal line stand, and Capetta went in for the 6 points, and then they decided to go for the 2 point conversion, and Coach Ball had called a timeout, and you knew they were going from the shotgun. At least I thought Capetta was going to be the one with the ball. They weren't going to try to pass into the end zone. They were going to. And
you don't want to make a mistake in that point.
Exactly, and it was funny because you watch the replays. Capetta and our guys stood him up, but one of his own men, I think it was number 59, got right behind him and pushed him right through over the goal line.
You've seen that in college and the pros now. And so that that is a definite coaching technique now. That just doesn't happen. That is planned. Yeah, that is planned.
It was, and you saw him start to stand up, and then his player came from behind and said, "Nope, you ain't going that way. You're going this way." Boom, and took him right over.
And
the
a
goal
tall
line.
Kid like that, he keeps straight up, and it's just physics at that point to make the move.
Our friends Nick and Steve from FNLH had nothing but positives to say about both quarterbacks, Pafford and Capetta. Pafford did all he could, and I had a chance because I was on babysitting detail the last couple of days. I should call it grandparenting, sorry. And it's an infant, so she sleeps a lot. So I actually scripted the plays for the game. And not only did we dominate time of possession, number of plays, a couple of surprising things were that, we had as many passing plays as we did. And the other thing was that when Timberlane got the ball, very efficient. We, like I say, kept them off the field offensively as much as we could. But when they got it, and they had that big strike guy, McGuanji.
Sure. Am I correct in saying that there were a couple of plays that the Bluehawks had a touchdown, but the play just didn't happen? I know one was a pass. There was a wide open receiver, and the ball was just overthrown. Yeah. And I think that may have happened a couple of times. That one in particular, that could have been a couple more touchdowns.
Yeah, that one in particular, and that was in the second half. The two key plays, as far as I was concerned, and I've talked over with Coach Bill Taylor and others that were there. The and Roger Brown, obviously, too. The key plays, the missed field goal. Now, granted, Moss was kicking from the left hash. It was a 33-yard attempt, and the wind had picked up at that point. So the ball sailed to the right. And that was one unfortunate. That was 3 points we didn't get. And the play you're mentioning is about the 6-minute mark, I think it was, in the fourth quarter. Pafford went back, had Moss wide on the right-hand side, threw the ball, and it just was off his fingertips. He just didn't have enough to grab it and pull it down. And
again, in two equal teams like that, it comes down to 1 or 2 plays, and that's the difference. And you know, it's a tie score, and the team that had the ball last won the game. That's it. Can't be disappointed about the effort. The effort was there.
Oh no, the effort was there for sure.
And but the Owls are a good squad, and you know, they now will go up against Bedford. Bedford's defense is coming around right now after shutting out Nashua North to be able to move into the playoffs. So I don't expect a lot of points scored in that game, but I said that a week ago. So we'll see how that goes. And Londonderry against Pinkerton. Is there a bigger rivalry? You know, Exeter Winnicott, Londonderry Pinkerton. I mean, that's a class.
One thing I talked it over with Roger Brown, and he was bringing it to my attention that I said, well, you know, and it's true. The majority of these teams that were in the playoffs are quarterback, wide receiver oriented. You know, the running teams were the Bluehawks, and probably I would put Pinkerton into that, and he does too. The old school, you know, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, keeping the ball in the air sparingly. But you've got the other teams that were in there and aren't there anymore, like Nashua North, Bishop Girton. They were throwing it through the air all season long. So, you know, our philosophy here in Bluehawk Nation has always been keep it conservative, clock management. I don't think it came back to bite us, but it was kind of funny. I was watching that broadcast from Steve and Nick, and I noticed it I think it was about 8 minutes left in the game. And all of a sudden the sky got dark. The dark clouds came in, and that's when our luck changed. And I was like, oh, please, no, this isn't going to happen. And I think that play you mentioned about the pass that was incomplete, and then we had to punt the ball, and that gave them a chance for a long strike, and they did. It's not a coulda, woulda, shoulda, because everybody left everything out on the field. The gutsy call, obviously, Coach Fitzgerald deciding to go for 2 and win it. I mean, he could have come out a goat on that one too. So gutsy call, and nothing for the Bluehawk players to hang their heads. I mean, you know, somebody had to lose, and other teams in the league obviously were as good or had as much potential to get to the finals. They lost too. So, you know, it's a heartbreaker. I would have loved to have seen that BG Exeter Bluehawk matchup for the 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
But we have that to live, and we're going to be talking about that later in the show. So anyway, it was one of those games where it'll be in the books for a long time, and a lot of people will be probably, you know, replaying it in their minds. But hey, everybody gave their all. That's all that matters. And the only other thing I say, and it's not a criticism, is I'd like to see a wide out development program here, because tight ends are great, and they're your safety valve. Just ask Tom Brady and Gronkowski and Julian Edelman. Those are the type of guys that you do get those short passes to when everything else is tied up. But it does help to have this kid with Wanji.
People are going to imitate the pros, and the pros are all pass oriented.
Right.
So, you know, kids want to throw the ball, and you know, it takes a strong coaching program like the Bluehawks to say, look, we need to make sure that we don't make a lot of mistakes. We keep it simple, we execute, and that's going to win ball games. That gets you into the playoffs. When you get to the playoffs, anything can happen, and that's what happened on Saturday.
Congratulations on a great season to the Exeter Bluehawks, and good luck to Timberlane. I mean, at this point, I hope that
I'm rooting for them.
Take it on. Yeah,
I think they're a good club, well coached, and they've got some good players. They could come out of the number 6 seed and
Yeah.
do some damage.
And face it, they were D2 champs back to back, and this would be a real feather in Coach Fitzgerald's hat if he comes up with a D1 championship on top of that.
Right.
And next year, let's hope we have a balanced schedule so we don't have all this falderall with where we're going to play and who's going to play. And
we love Vermont. We love Champlain Valley.
Hey, that was a fun game. It was a fun game, and having those games isn't the bad thing, but it's a where they're going to play. Again, the neutral site thing this year. I'd like to see it back at UNH. I think you and I both agree on that
Sure.
one. I know you wanted to mention something about the NFL for your 2-minute drill, so let's veer off from the NFL for a second, or football for a second. Let's talk baseball, the open season for all the free agents. The Red Sox keep saying they're going after somebody. They gave an offer to Evaldi. He said, no, thanks. He'll shop himself around. I don't know what the money, initially it was like a $19 million contract for 1 year, an option year, but then he turned that down real fast.
Yes.
And
yes.
So now it's, they gave him a multi-year deal, but nobody's telling him what it is or how many what the numbers are, how many years. So I guess my point is, what do you see the Red Sox doing, if anything? and I sent you a chart the other day.
You sent me that chart of the free agents, which I thought was very interesting. Other than the pitchers, again, I don't see a lot of guys that I'm going to go crazy about adding. If they don't sign Bogarts, I think they have to go get Correa.
Right.
I think they would have to do that. I don't think that they can't go for DeGrom. They can't go for Verlander. They can't. That I would. They're still putting all their eggs in Chris Sale's basket. I don't think that's going to happen. So, I think, again, we're going to be Tampa Bay North for a couple of years here.
Yeah.
I think that's the situation's going to be there.
I tend to agree with you on that one. And again, the wild card, so to speak, is, do they go after Bogarts or Devers? I mean, we know that contract's coming up in another year. So
I don't think they'll sign both of them. They'll sign one of them.
Okay.
And I hope it's Devers.
Yeah, I see the long term for Devers only because he's going to be the next big pappy. I mean, he's going to be your DH down the road. He's not going to be playing a position too many more years, but he has the bat.
I am Bloom's situation is that I want to build up my minor league prospects, and I want to build through the minor leagues. I want Tristan Cassis to come up and play first base. I want some of the hotshot minor leaguers to come in and be able to do the job. I don't want to go out and sign big free agents, and that's what we're going to have to live with as long as he's there.
And matter of fact, we probably can put that up. I'll have Bob put that slide up of all the free agents that are still at this point are still out there. I haven't heard of any major signings. Have you?
Not yet. Just Edwin Diaz. Signing with the Mets.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And catcher, I guess there's a lot of catchers or a lot of openings for catchers. St. Louis lost their Molina, so now they're looking for their talking about going after the kid from Oakland, Murphy, and Christian Vasquez is another name being thrown out there.
He's got another World Series ring.
Yeah, and didn't do much to get it, but hey, he was on the team. He was there. He was sitting there just in case. He had his gear ready just in case. Celtics and Bruins. I think
that everybody thinks that the Celtics are going to win the East. I think they've got the horses to do it. It's all going to come down to the coaching. Again, with the NBA, again, I don't put a lot of stock in the NBA until you get past Valentine's Day. I think a lot of this is just machinations right now and players looking at their stats and things like that. So, we're lucky to have Brown and Tatum and Smart and guys like that who are doing the job. They have a good bench this year. We don't know about the new coach right now. We'll have to see about that. The Bruins are playing okay hockey right now. Again, you just have to get a little bit more track record here before you start getting excited about those two squads. But right now, the thing that raised my eyebrow this morning was, hey, the Patriots, if the playoffs started today, are in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They're the 7th seed right now in the playoffs at 5-4. So I'm saying to myself, hey, that's That's pretty good, more than I expected right now. Whether or not they can hold it up, that's the other factor. They've got some tough games coming up right now.
Well, they also, if you look at that list, I think everybody in the AFL East or AFC East are in the in the contention, right? I
Jets,
think,
Miami, Buffalo, Patriots,
yeah. So I
all
mean,
there, all
and
there.
so it's a matter of
It's the
knocking each other off.
AFC beast right now. Okay. Now the game I am worried about is that Thanksgiving game against Minnesota.
Yeah,
That's
they're
going to be
tough.
3
They
days
are
later.
tough.
The only thing
Yeah.
the Patriots have going for them is that Minnesota is going to be coming off a game against Dallas on Sunday. So both squads are going to be tough on Turkey Day.
Well, one thing I was going to ask you about is the rumors that Josh McDaniels is, on a real short string as far as being the head coach of the Raiders. The owner says, "Oh, he's fine. He's fine." And that's usually when the guy gets cut.
Right.
Now, the other speculation is if he gets cut, would the Patriots make a play to get him back again and push Patricia and Judge to other positions?
Sure.
Why not? Huh?
The Patriots retirement community. They all come back.
You know what gets me, and we've seen a lot of talented coaches leave the Patriots to take on that head coaching job and fail miserably. I mean, they're good guys, smart guys, but they're and I don't want to say they're one-dimensional, but they're specialists, whether it was on defense or offense or whatever. And like Josh McDaniels is good with quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks.
Right.
Hey, you got one, Mac Jones and Brian Zappi, that he could take under his wing and simplify the game in his way,
right,
and get both of them tuned up so that if something happens to one or the other, there's no, hey, where's Vinny Testaverde? Can we bring him back again? One of the other day I was watching one of the talking head sports shows. The New York Jets since 2000. Yeah, so I guess since the year 2000. Yeah, that was it. Since the year 2000, have had 20 plus quarterbacks. I think it was 22 and 20. I believe it was 22 and 20 years. 22 years. Since, I mean, you can't build a team that way. You have to have consistency. We've been fortunate with the Patriots with having Brady, and now it's kind of like, what do we do now? And Mac Jones could be, or Brian Zappi could be the next guy that's going to be there for a few years. But we need somebody to take and guide him. And I think right now they're kind of rudderless, both of them, with Patricia and Judge, and so I guess what I'm hoping that the Raiders do bounce McDaniels and he comes back and says, you know what, I'm staying. The rumors were he was going to be taking Belichick's place. I don't even think he needs to do that, because one of his players out in Las Vegas said that he just doesn't have the rapport with the average player. Some of them, yes. Oh, the whole team, forget it. So anyway, 2-minute drill time. How about it? You stick with the NFL.
I want to talk about, it goes back to the NFL, Sherm. I think I watching the football game the other night against the Eagles and the Commanders, there was a play that at the end of the game that was a key play, that was a big first down at the end of the game, and the player going to the ground had an obvious face mask by the Washington Commanders, just grabbed onto it and just hung on it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't called by the official. And there was a fumble on the play. And that play can't be challenged. And it just infuriated me, because I'm thinking that if you're going to have replay, you've got to be able to challenge everything. You can't be, some plays can't be challenged and some plays cannot be challenged. You've got to challenge everything. I know they're saying that the games are going to go too long, but still, you only have 2 challenges, and if you make a mistake, you lose a timeout. I mean, that's fine. Just allow the coaches to be able to make a decision on when to use those challenges, but be able to challenge everything. I think that's going to be something that's going to have to happen to keep the integrity of the game high.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. I saw that play and I went, yeah. That's the time somebody should have stepped in and said, yeah, we've got to correct this situation. They're worried about a lot of other things.
And then 2 plays later, an official made a pass interference call on the Washington Commanders.
I saw that. Yep.
Tried to even it up. No,
It doesn't work that way.
no, it doesn't.
My 2-minute drill. I first off want to mention that on the TV side, the Seacoast Sports Forum TV version, we're going to be featuring the Exeter golf team. We've got a super interview with Coach Bob Beetle Bailey and Connor Allard and Yasha Johnston, and got some highlights from their championship season. I mean, 27-0. They started off the fall season for the Bluehawk Nation, and we've had other teams successful this year. And congratulations to all those coaches, and we'll try to get to them as we go along. Also for the holiday season, and we're putting the final touches on it, getting people organized. We're trying to get together a special edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum to play through the holiday season, featuring that 25th anniversary Bluehawk championship game, the Bluehawks taking on and beating the Bishop Girton Cardinals.
Mhm.
And you were there. That was a snow bowl that day.
Right, it was.
You and Ben Cloutier were calling the play-by-play and analyzing the game. Did a great job, and we had some of the players back at halftime during one of the regular season games this year, and I'm hoping to get at least that many guys back up to the old Eustis Field, and we'll talk to them about that game and then play the game. So, Sam, I hope get residuals on that.
That's right. That's right.
Especially the ads you did for Ben's Photoshop. I love those.
That's right.
And we really appreciate all the work that I know Coach Kane is trying to get the group together with Jamie Soller and Bob Glowacki, our producer, and we're going to coordinate getting them all, like I say, up there in the near future and get that for our holiday season show. We like to do shows that can just play through the holiday season. You can sit back, enjoy after whatever's going on, all the hoo-ha that goes on during the holiday season, and just sit back, watch a good game. And it was hard to believe it was 32 years in the making for the Bluehawks to get back to the championship game and win it. And first of many for Coach Bill Ball. And
so your uncle at the dinner table can say, "You haven't played football until you've played football on a field like old Eustis Field."
That's right, brother. That's right. And also pass the cranberries. That's the other thing he says. I just wanted to wrap this up, and I'm sure you feel the same way, Sam, that the Bluehawks this season, the football team, put out a great effort, and we're all proud of you. There's no head hanging on that game, and
no.
You just want to wish that in this case the guys that beat you take it all. That's the way I look at it. That just proves you were beaten by the better guy. I mean, it was a heavyweight fight. They took you, but hey, there's always the next time too.
That's right.
And speaking of which, on behalf of Sam Bruno, this is Sherm Chester inviting you to join us next time for the next edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum. You can listen to the Seacoast Sports Forum on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to watch the episodes of the Seacoast Sports Forum on our Seacoast Sports Forum YouTube page. And when you're there, hit the bell to subscribe and like us. And if you have any sports photos or game videos you'd like to send us, or comments, seacoastsportsforum@yahoo.com. This is Sherm Chester inviting you to join us for the next edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum.